Welcome to another episode. Today we're going to finish up our last bike and the Leagues of Votann kit. We're going to keep just moving forward. So it's going to be a short intro and we're just going to get into it. The Leagues. The Greater Thurain League. Not only is the Greater Thurain League one of the original founding leagues of Votann, it is also one of the largest, counting scores of kindred in its alliance and attracting more to its ranks with every passing decade. The Greater Thurain League is a military, mercantile, and industrial powerhouse with few equals. At the most recent count, the Great Thurain League contains over 200 allied kindred. Between them, they boast vast floating between them, they boast vast flotillas of void ships and near endless ranks of kinhost warriors, huge and wealthy guilds such as Yengvari combined logistics, the Star Strider Mechanal Confederation, and the Chthoni Guild of Codex. See to the League's continued and immense prosperity. Greater Thurain holds such as Crimson Gulf and Yervim's Bulwark are famed throughout the galactic core, and their sheer size and impenetrable defense. Meanwhile, some of the most storied heroes of the kin lead the Great Thurain Leagues: Oathband to War, Kovmin, Rind, heroine of the Black Harrowed Expedition, Grimnir Vok, known as the Fire of the Votann. Super Star Trek. Anyway, moving on. Uther the Destined, wielder of the blade of the ancestors. These and many other names besides have found fame throughout kin society for their exploits and the way in which they embody their race's core values of pragmatism, survivalism, and mercenary conquest. The greater Lithuanian leagues have long ventured into far space, whether into trade with other species, to explore and exploit new regions or to fight as mercenaries alongside the imperium of man. However, the recent manifestation of warp storms, Orgviner, upon their northeastern borders has forced the leagues into a more aggressive stance, even as bristling magma couriers fray Kinhost east to bolster the rapidly solidifying stormward front. The greater Lithuanian leagues are also dispatched numerous prospects west beyond the circumclearance disk. No, it's cryptonuclear disk or something. They have deployed forces into the neighboring Marsalis and Sepulchore sector in number not seen outside of the galactic core since the kin first settled there. The remit of these forces is to claim new worlds. Excuse me. For those kindred disposed by chaos invaders pouring from the maelstrom, and identify safe systems of leagues to fall back to sound its defense fails or the fight becomes too costly. Imperial governors throughout both sectors have responded to this apparent invasion with a predictable mix of panic and zealotry, hurling armies at the encroaching kin, even as they astropaths, fragmentary distress calls wing their way out to the wider Imperium. The greater Lithuanian League thus finds itself embattled now upon two fronts, yet their kindreds remain as determined as ever to survive and to prosper. Uther the Destined. Uther the Destined is amongst the mightiest Kalas of the greater Lithuanian leagues. He is... Sorry about my fridge. Just turned over. He is the victor of the Dead Star campaign and the slayer of Gorbek the Iron Beast. Yet it is said his greatest deed still lies ahead of him. Uther was born to the kindred of Votann in the hold of Obisti Gate on a day of strange omens. In the fane, the Gremyar watched with wonder as the Votann put forth a spontaneous screed of prophecy. The information was muddled, pointing in ancient data scripts few can now comprehend. Arguments raged about this true meaning, or its true meaning, but it seems to imply that one amongst the days newly cloned was meant for some great task. Meanwhile, the mechanisms of the hold's forge swung into motion without any Brokehire's command and produced a magnificent energy blade. At the same time, clues in the Votannic prophetic led the Gremyar to Uthar's crucible. Thus, by the end of this first bellowing day of life, Uther had been proclaimed as the destined, and the miraculous blade of the ancestors was bestowed upon him. He has striven to live up to the expectations of the ancestors ever since. Driven to prepare himself for his enigmatic duty, he has explored soldiered, and endured hardships to make even the Chthonian berserkers wince. Through it all, Uther has displayed uncanny good fortune that some have attributed to the aid of the ancestors and others to some excuse me, obscure clone skin or clone skine. Whether the true this has certain whether the truth this has certainly contributed to Uther's longevity and his many victories, yet so have his hard-won veteran ability. If Uther's actions sometimes seem cruel, his comrades simply attribute this to the pressure of knowing that one day his great duties shall come upon him. Besides, Uther's ready gallows humor and down-to-earth personal help to cover up his colder side. They also conceal the worm of doubt. This has gnawed at the Destin since his earliest days, forcing him to question if the prophecy was correctly understood, and if it was, whether he can even be ready for such momentous yet inevitable task. Ultimately, Uther, his kin, and thus able to push his fears aside in favors of duty, he long ago swore to himself that he would make his ancestors proud. The Trans-Hyperion Alliance. The Trans-Hyperion Alliance are the furthest traveled of the leagues. Many of the prospects that penetrate deep into space where their distinctive origin, void armor, and their Hernkin are renowned for both their tendency and frontiersmen drive to banish the darkness beyond the edges of the map. The kindreds of the Trans-Hyperion Alliance are peopled with explorers and adventurers. They seek out new warp routes, trade partners, and mysteries with an almost compulsive determination, and their forge labored constantly to produce swift and powerful spacecrafts. While they control vast swaths of territory, excuse me, both within and outside of the galactic core, these holdings are far flung and thinly spread. Many Trans-Hyperion kindreds dwell in isolated packards or have their own holds aborted nomadic Let's try that again. Many trans-Hyperion kindreds dwell in isolated pockets or have their own holds. Abroad, nomadic fleets that are even on the move. The leagues remain well connected despite this for lighter craft streak between the scattered kindreds, barreling news and discoveries. And threats. Even the League's Votann, of which it boasts a remarkable 3, are even mobile, nestled deep within fortified void ships and accompanied by sizable fleets. Ancient technologies within their fanes ensure that every trans-Hyperion kin stays updated with the coordinations of their Votann. The information displays in a cleverly scrambled manner, unless to even the most cunning enemy borders. The kin are all do not want any foe discovering the extent and location of the Votann by unfortunate chance. The driving force behind a constant striving and seeking of trans-Hyperion alliances, their dedication to the enrichment of the Votann. In this, they came as close as any of their race to genuine religious fervor. A cult of ancestor worshippers prevail through the alliance, whose fanes are always filled with small votive offerings to respected ancestors. Other kin find this practice strange and wasteful, but the folks of the Trans-Hyperion Alliance say that doing honors to their ancestors is a transaction only of value, never of cost. Their view exploration, adventure, and battle, that they also drive even to scatter across the stars and seek out the greatest enrichment and material riches. In their ancestors' name, Hernkin are held in especially high esteem in the Trans-Hyperion Alliance, and a great number of their population spends at least some time amongst these wandering ranger bands. Only rarely does the entire league rally as a coherent force, and that is usually when one of their wandering Votann have under direct threat. At such times the Trans-Hyperion kindreds cast aside all other considerations, retreating from hard-fought campaigns, breaking oaths with allied powers, and even setting aside grudges as they race to the aid of the ancestors they veteran so greatly. Well, welcome to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends, and feel free to leave a comment, especially if you think you can have suggestions on what I can do to improve the channel. And we'll see you in the next one.